Good day, students. This is Miss Cowart, and today I'm going to illustrate for you how important it is to learn to type by touch. This is important so that you can type all of your writing assignments and your papers on a timely basis. I'm going to be using Google Sheets to illustrate this point to you, and so I've signed into my Google Drive account. The first thing I need to do is to sign into Google Sheets. I'm going to show you the most straightforward way to do that, and that's to click on the New button and then to scroll down to Sheets. Once your spreadsheet loads up, you're going to want to name that, and we're going to name it Words Per Minute Spreadsheet. Now, before we begin, I want to explain the layout of the spreadsheet screen. You will notice that it looks like a grid, and the up and downy ones are called columns, and they are indicated by letters of the alphabet. And the side-to-side ones are called rows, and they are labeled using numbers, so that it ends up looking almost like a battleship, the game Battleship. If you've ever played that, it's laid out in much the same way. And each one of these little boxes is called a cell. So if you were playing Battleship and you asked the person you were playing if they had a battleship on D2, they would say either hit or miss. So that's the way we label all these little boxes. This is A1, this is D8, this is F2, and so on. So that's the way a spreadsheet's laid out. Now, with all of our software, we've got 3 or 4 ways to accomplish most all tasks. The first way is with a drop-down menu, and each drop-down menu has different functions in it that you can use to make things happen on your spreadsheet. Then there are also toolbars, icon toolbars, that are across the top, and sometimes they actually extend into more, and you can click the ... at the end and it'll give you even more things that you can do. Or you could right click wherever you are and a pop-up menu will come up and give you some basic functions. And then you also have keyboard shortcuts, which are indicated to the right, and on the drop-down boxes you'll see the keyboard shortcuts tell you what you would need to click on your keyboard to make that happen. Ms. Cowart uses a combination of these functions, so when I go in and show you how to do something, I'm going to give you a variety of ways, and it's up to you which way you want to use. You can play around with the software and see what works best for you. Today we're going to be making a spreadsheet. It's going to be a roster of all the students in the class, and we're going to find out how long it will take each one of you to type a 4-page paper. So we're going to need to record a first name and last name for each student in the class. So that's going to be my first heading in A1. I'm going to put first name, put the first names of everyone, and last name, the last names of everyone. And then we're going to want to record a words per minute score for each student. And then we're going to want to know how long it's going to take them to type a 4-page paper. Now, I happened to Google it, and a 4-page paper has approximately 1,300 words. So I'm going to put, for my heading, words in 4-page paper. Now, you'll notice that my heading is wider than my column, and that looks kind of messy. There are 2 ways I can fix that. I can either pull my column out just simply by dragging it out, but I really don't want to do that because it's going to be a narrow value and it's going to be the same all the way down. So what I'm going to choose to do instead is to go up here to my text wrapping icon, click on it, and choose this little wrap text icon, and it's going to make my row wider and make the words fit. I like that better. So here in the E column, I'm going to make a formula calculation. The only part of the screen that I didn't go over initially is the formula bar. I'm going to put a mathematical calculation in here, and my spreadsheet is going to calculate that for me. And when I put my formula in, it's going to show up here in what's called the formula bar. The value for the answer to the formula is going to show up in my box, but my formula will be up here. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. So I'm going to put a heading on here that's going to put minutes to type. Oops, got monkey fingers today. 4-page paper. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click that wrap function for this one again because that one runs long. There we go. Now we've got all our headings in our spreadsheet. Now, I like when I make a spreadsheet to have my headings stand out a bit. So I'm going to click on number 1 to highlight all of that row in blue, and I'm going to make all of that writing bold so that it kind of stands out more. Now, I'm not going to put the whole roster for my class in, but I'm just going to put in, oops, I did it backwards. Let's bring it Beasley. And I'm just going to put 3 or 4 in here so that we can see what the effect will be. I'm just using one of my current rosters here. Looks like I got all boys at the top of this roster. Okay, so we're going to do this for everybody. And then I'm just going to put in some arbitrary words per minute now. Now, when we take these word per minute scores, some of you have a lot more experience keyboarding than others, so they're going to be all over the shop. Some people are going to be able to type 6 words per minute. Some people are going to type 50 words per minute. So we're all going to have a different starting point. It's not really a reflection on how good of a student you are. It's just how much experience you've had learning to type by touch. Okay, now, words in a 4-page paper. Well, how many words are in a 4-page paper? Miss Cowart Googled that, and Google told me that there are approximately 1,300 words in a 4-page paper. So what we're going to be figuring out is how long it's going to take each student to type these 1,300 words. So I'm going to need that figure on each row of my spreadsheet. Now I could go down here and type 1,300 and click and 1,300 and 1,300. That's a lot of typing because we're going to have about 30 kids in our class. So what I would suggest doing is typing in the information, which was 1,300 in this instance, and then hover over this tiny blue dot and then grab it and pull down your cursor until you highlight all the names, and the spreadsheet will fill down whatever's in that top box for all the other rows in your spreadsheet, which is awesome. That's a good time saver. And then now comes the tricky part. Like I was telling you, you can make your spreadsheet do mathematical calculations for you. All you have to do is think about what you want it to figure out for you and come up with your equation one time, and then you can apply it to all of the other values in the spreadsheet. So it saves you a ton of time. So the way you start a formula on a spreadsheet is you click on the cell where you want the formula to calculate, and you start it with an equal sign. When you put an equal sign in a cell, you're telling that spreadsheet you're about to tell it to figure out something. Now, to figure out how many minutes it's going to take Grant to type this 1,300 word paper, I'm going to want to take the total number of words in the paper, 1,300, and divide it by his words per minute, which are 25 in this case. Now, I could type in 1,300 divided by 25 and enter, but that's going to limit me because the next time I change either one of these numbers, I'm going to have to redo my formula. The most efficient way to do this would be to type the equal sign and use the cell numbers to create my formula. So like I said, I want to divide 1,300 by 25. If I just put my equal sign in the box and then click on the box where 1,300 is, then it will put in that cell number for me, and I can put in the division sign and then put in the cell number by clicking on it of the words per minute for Grant. Now, I've got my formula in there. It tells me E2 equals D2 divided by C2, and it actually handily gives me the answer there in the box above. Now, when I hit enter, it puts the answer in E2, but it saves the formula up here in the formula bar. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. Now, I could go down here to Brandon Bell and do the same thing for him. I could put E3 equals D3 by clicking on it, divided by C3, and hit enter, and it'll figure that up for Brandon, which it'll take him 32.5 minutes to type the paper. Now, I could do this for each student all the way down, but I don't have to because I want the formula to follow the same pattern for each student. Nothing changes on each row. So I can do that same fill down trick by clicking on this and pulling that down and highlighting the rows, and it will figure up the number of minutes it's going to take each student to type this paper. Now, you may be looking at this and think, well, Miss Cowart, that looks kind of sloppy, and you're right, because the number format in these cells beneath Brandon are not in a good format for what we're looking for. We're looking for whole numbers pretty much. So what I'm going to do is click on my E column and change the way the numbers look. I'm going to go up here to my format menu. I'm going to click the number option, and I'm just going to make them a regular old number. And then it will clean that up for me and make them look better. We don't care about all those infinitesimal decimals out there. So you can see, based on the data that we have so far, that the number of words per minute you type greatly affects how long it's going to take you to type a paper. Now, Miss Cowart, why did you make us go through this activity? Because we're about to start we're learning how to type by touch. And I want you to realize how much longer it's going to take you to finish your work if you do not learn how to do so. Now, if you just don't like typing and you don't think you're ever going to get your words per minute up, you can probably struggle through your day-to-day assignments. But when you get a big assignment like a 4-page paper, you're probably going to want to pay Brandon to type your paper for you because he can do it so much faster than you. And Brandon, you can make some extra cash. One last thing I want to show you is how to put borders around a spreadsheet, because that makes your spreadsheets look so much better. Basically, what I did was I just started in the lower right-hand column. I held my mouse key down and drug it all the way up to A1 and dropped it. Now I've got my table in light blue, and I can proceed to put some borders on. All you have to do is come up to this icon here, borders, and I generally choose it and choose the one that's all darkened in, and then you have a nice border around your spreadsheet. Okay, so we learned how to use some commands in spreadsheets today, and we also learned how important it is to learn to type by touch. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to sign off now. I hope you have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.